You know what's funny? The guy who spent his entire childhood being used as a tool has somehow managed to find the one person in the Boruto story who treats people exactly like tools. Kawaki spent years trying to escape Jigen's leash, only to land on Amado's brand new collar with extra features and a software update. At this point, if red flags were chakra, Amado would have surpassed Shibai 3 whole arcs ago. And yet, somehow Kawaki keeps looking at the man responsible for half the problems in the story and saying, yeah, this guy seems trustworthy. For a character like Kawaki, that might end up being the biggest mistake he's ever made, because right now everyone is focused on Kawaki's new power. Nobody's focused on who actually controls it, and those are two very different conversations. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, takes a look at whether or not Kawaki is giving Amado way too much control and making a huge mistake in the process. Also, the chapter review is up on the channel right now and will be linked in the description box and in credits for those of you guys who are curious, along with my new Everything One Piece Explained video on my Everything One Piece Explained channel, which I strongly recommend that you check out if you're a fan of the series or just curious about some of the lore aspects of One Piece. One of the biggest things in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, and just Naruto as a franchise, is that power almost always comes with a cost. Sarada gained the Mangekyou Sharingan, but she's eventually going to lose her eyesight. Boruto gained overwhelming strength but continues to move closer towards Momoshiki, and he's agreed to give up his body full control once it's done. Himawari gained Kurama's power but carries the burden of becoming a target of Jura. Even with the growth of multiple Naruto characters, you can link it directly to emotional vulnerability. Every power-up in this story comes attached with a hidden bill that comes due at some point one another. Kawaki's latest upgrade is no different when you think about it, really. The difference is that unlike everyone else, Kawaki didn't just pay for his power. He handed someone else the keys to the bank account, because Amado now controls the very thing that Kawaki values the most. His strength, his desire to protect Naruto, is directly correlated by Kawaki's own overall strength level. And if history tells us anything, giving Amado control over your future is like handing a fox the keys to a chicken coop and then wondering why are there feathers the very next morning. Usually when I talk about Amado, I get people saying, but bro, he's just trying to revive his daughter. You're being too hard on him. So let's just start with a simple question. Who has Amado remained loyal to outside of his daughter? Seriously, I want you to think about it. Isshiki trusted him, Amado betrayed him. Koji trusted him, Amado betrayed him. Naruto trusted him, Amado withheld the truth about Naruto's quote murder because he likely has a recording of Kawaki sealing Naruto away because he can look through Kawaki's eyes. Shikamaru didn't trust him, but Amado never gave him much of a reason to trust him after Naruto's death because he kept the knowledge of their memories being altered a secret the whole time skip, the whole 3 years, despite being one of the very first people to figure it out. At some point, this stops being a coincidence and it starts becoming a character trait. Amado isn't loyal to people, he's loyal to outcomes. There's a huge difference, because people who are loyal to outcomes don't care who gets hurt as long as the destination remains the same. And Amado has shown this repeatedly. Every relationship that he's had since we've known him as a character, it's been transactional. Every alliance is temporary. Every friendship has a expiration date, if Amado even has friends. Someone put an APB out for Katasuke because we ain't seen him since 2 Blue Vortex started. The moment someone outlives their usefulness, Amado starts calculating alternatives. Koji learned the hard way when he killed Jigen and Isshiki revived and said, bro, the real boss fight starts now. Which is exactly why Kawaki should be terrified. Because right now, Kawaki believes he's the one using Amado. That he's the one with the leverage. Do as I say or your daughter never gets revived. However, history suggests the opposite. People who get in bed with Amado usually leave the bed with something that they can't get rid of. Let's look at Koji. Let's really look at Koji, because Koji might be the biggest warning sign in the entire manga when you think about it. I want you to remember how his relationship started. Amado created Koji, raised him for a purpose, gave him a mission, built him specifically to kill Jigen, and unbeknownst to him also die at the hands of Isshiki. Not defeat him, not to challenge him, just die at the hands of Isshiki, but in the process, hey fam, if you can shave off a little bit of Ishiki's lifespan so Naruto and Sasuke don't die right away, have at it, Hoss. Amado knew that that mission meant that Kashin Koji was going to die, which is why Naruto got so pissed off when he learned about it and was like, did he know? Because he's not fighting like someone who's accepted death. He's fighting like someone who thinks he can win. Koji was essentially sent on a suicide mission, a disposable asset being used to achieve a greater objective. Now ask yourself something. If Amado is willing to sacrifice a clone of Jiraiya to achieve his goals, what exactly makes Kawaki any different? The answer is simple. Nothing that we know of right now. Kawaki has a longer leash, but I would ask you, I would challenge you, how long is that leash actually? Right now, Kawaki is useful. Right now, Kawaki is necessary. Right now, Kawaki possesses something that Amado needs, but usefulness, it has a shelf life. And Amado's entire history suggests that once that shelf life expires, so does his loyalty. In fact, what's happening with Kashin Koji right now should be setting off alarm bells in Kawaki's head, because look at Amado's recent obsession with him. The moment Kashin Koji's 10 direction ability started revealing information from countless timelines, Amado became interested, urgently interested, dangerously interested. And now Koji's been captured. He's unconscious, he's vulnerable, and Amado has access to him. Again, if you are Kawaki and you're paying attention, that should be terrifying, because you're watching Amado interact with somebody who's already served his purpose once. He was a former ally, asset, success story. And instead of gratitude, Amado just seems interested in what else he can extract from him. Because of 10 directions, what more can he learn? What more can he use? What more can he take from Koji? That's not a partnership. That's just Amado being a sussy baka. And it's kind of where Japanese folklore really gets very interesting, in my opinion. Because Amado reminds me less of a scientist and more of a trickster. Specifically, the stories that involve the Meinojaku. And you longtime viewers of the channel, you know that from the moment that Kawaki was told by Amado that he was still a vessel of Isshiki, I said it outright. He reminded me of the Meinojaku. The Meinojaku and yokai are known for manipulating people by exploiting their deepest desires. They don't overpower you, they don't force you. Instead, they whisper, they nudge, it finds the thing that you want the most and it uses it against you. That's because Kawaki's greatest weakness isn't his strength, it's his obsession to protect Naruto. And Amado understands that perfectly. Every decision that Kawaki makes revolves around protecting Naruto. Every fear, every insecurity, every justification, everything comes back to Naruto, which means that Amado doesn't need to control Kawaki physically, he just needs to control the path that leads towards Naruto's safety. A Meinojaku, they win by understanding your desires better than you do. Amado spent years with Kawaki. He also knows how much Kawaki cares for Naruto. He knows that Kawaki reawakened his karma seal to protect Naruto. That is very terrifying to have somebody like Amado that has that good of a read on you. Now, there's another thing that you should look at, and it's the Japanese story of the monkey and the crab. The monkey tricks the crab through deception and short-term rewards. The crab sees immediate gain. The monkey sees long-term advantage. By the time the crab realizes what's happened, the damage is already done. That's Kawaki right now. He looks at immediate gain. 100% of Isshiki's attack power, 100% defense, incredible strength, amazing benefits. But Amado is looking further down the line. Kawaki sees today's reward. Amado sees tomorrow's leverage. And leverage is something that Amado values more than anything else. And that's the scariest part, that Kawaki should know this. He should have already picked up on this with Amado because he's lived this lesson. Jigen controlled him through dependence. Amado controls him through upgrades. The methods are different, but the results are kind of similar when you think about it, because dependence is dependence at the end of the day. Whether the chain is made of fear or power doesn't really matter. it's still a chain. Jigen's chain was fear. Amado's chain is power. It is still a chain around Kawaki's neck. Every time Kawaki accepts another enhancement from Amado, another link gets added. Only this time, the link isn't around his neck, it's around his future. It's around his agency as a human being. And once you lose that agency, you basically lose who it is that you are. The irony is kind of painful when you think about it. Kawaki believes that power creates freedom. That's what Jigen taught him. That's what he saw with Kara. And that's what all those years of abuse taught him. The stronger you become, the safer you become. The stronger you become, the freer you become. But that's not actually true, because power without independence isn't real freedom. It's just rented strength. Strength that is rented that belongs to the landlord. Right now, Amado is that landlord. Kawaki is living in a house that he doesn't actually own because of what he agreed to with that power. I would like to think of it like this. In another video, I said that Kawaki inherited that power that Isshiki gave him. He basically inherited a house. So sticking with that example, the reason I say that he doesn't actually own the house anymore is because, yeah, Kawaki has the deed to the property, but he also got the house and took out a mortgage on the property at, say, I don't know, 60% equity. Well, the bank technically owns that house. You have the deed, but until you pay that deed of trust off, you don't actually own the home outright. That's basically Kawaki with his powers. Amado can adjust them up and down as he wants to. Until Kawaki takes that ability for himself, he's basically Amado's bitch. What's even worse is Boruto's become the opposite. Boruto has rejected shortcuts. He's rejected easy answers. He's rejected compromises. Meanwhile, Kawaki just accepts them. One brother gains power while maintaining agency of his person, and the other gains power while surrendering agency of his person. That's not accidental storytelling. It's intentional contrast. That is why when people say, oh my god, nothing happened in the chapter, I don't see the development for the characters, I always ask, are you reading with your fucking eyes closed? Eventually, these two philosophies, they're going to collide. The biggest mistake that Kawaki's made, it isn't trusting in Amado, it's failing to study Amado, because the answers are already there. They're hidden inside of Jigen, they're hidden inside of Isshiki, they're hidden inside of Koji, they're hidden inside of Naruto, they're hidden inside of Shikamaru, they're hidden inside of Code. Every person that Amado has worked with has eventually become a cautionary tale. And now Kawaki's stepping into that same pattern, the same cycle, the same trap, the same story. A story where the smartest man in the room keeps convincing everyone that they're the one in control when ultimately they're not. And if Kawaki doesn't start paying attention to what Amado's doing to Kashi and Koji right now, he may not realize that until it's too late. Because the most dangerous tricksters in life aren't the ones who steal from you. They're the ones who convince you that you can hand everything over to them willingly. And if Japanese folklore teaches us anything, it's that by the time that the Ameno Jaku, so Amado, reveals its true nature, the game was already over several moves ago. And the scary thing is that Amado, he's quite far ahead. Kawaki's just too distracted by his new power to notice that the board is disappearing underneath his feet. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Click here on the left, check out the chapter review, or click here on the right to check out that video for my Everything One Piece Explained channel that I was talking about earlier.